success of Operation Stardust. Solomon, I have now returned.
Duel amongst the Stardust. Anavel Gato versus Kou Uraki. The missile had already launched. There was no warning left to give, no command left to stop. The nuclear warhead detonated in silence, its light swallowing the Earth Federation fleet in an instant. Battleships vanished, pilots died without ever knowing what hit them. Space itself seemed to recoil from the violence. Operation Stardust had succeeded. For Zeon, the objective was complete. For Anavel Gato, that should have been the end. But Gato did not retreat. In the aftermath of the explosion, surrounded by debris and dying radio signals, Gato turned, and from the darkness of space comes Kou Uraki, piloting the GP01 Full Burnern. A young pilot who had failed. He had seen the launch, he had chased it, and he had been too late. The nuclear blast burned itself into his memory, not as strategy or politics, but as consequence. Thousands dead because of one man. This fight was no longer about preventing catastrophe. The catastrophe had already happened. What followed was something far more personal. A duel born from aftermath. Gato fought with the calm of someone who believed his life had already been spent. Every movement of the GP02 was deliberate, almost ceremonial. He did not rush. He did not hesitate. To him, this was a final affirmation, a chance to prove that Zeon's soldiers did not flee once their objective was achieved, that they did not abandon the battlefield just because the cost had been paid. Uraki fought with none of that calm. His hands trembled on the controls. His movements were aggressive, reckless at times. The GP01 Full Burnern screamed through space, its enhanced thrusters pushing the machine beyond safe operational limits. He was not fighting for strategy. He was fighting to make the failure mean something. Beam fire cut through the darkness, crossing paths in violent flashes of light. The GP02's raw power dominated the field, its armor absorbing punishment meant to destroy lesser machines. The GP01 answered with speed. Uraki darted in and out of firing lines, closing distance where he could, striking where the GP02 could not easily respond. It was a clash between brute force and desperate agility, between a veteran ace and a pilot still trying to define himself. Uraki demanded answers. Gato answered with actions, with emotions. For Gato, this was proof that Zeon's spirit still lived. For Uraki, this was a refusal to accept that everything had already been decided. The battle dragged on longer than it should have, longer than logic allowed, until the machines themselves began to fail. The GP02 took critical damage. The GP01 was brought to a halt, having sustained more damage than it could withstand. Finally, there was nothing left to fight with. Two Gundams, once symbols of escalation and technological supremacy, were reduced to drifting wreckage, and still neither pilot was dead. In the silence that followed, both men abandoned their machines, ejecting into the void. No final shot, no decisive blow, just survival. Two pilots floating among the ruins of weapons that had already shaped history. Gato escaped, carrying Zeon's ideals into the final stage of Operation Stardust. His role was not finished yet. Uraki survived as well, forced to confront a truth far heavier than defeat. Stopping one pilot could never stop a system. Their duel changed nothing. The colony would still fall. The Titans would still rise. The Federation would tighten its grip in the name of order. History moved forward, indifferent to who won that fight. And that is what made their battle so cruel. Even after the nuke fired, even after the Gundams were destroyed, the war refused to end. It simply demanded that both men live long enough to fight another day, remembering each name for another battle amongst the Stardust.